Good morning, welcome to Dee's Kitchen Lab. Today we're going to make a delicious pastry that requires very little work and gives a fabulous result. It's called croissant aux amandes, or almond croissants. And we're going to start with already made croissants, and we're going to cut them up, and we're going to make a sugar syrup and a filling and bake them in the oven. I've already preheated my oven. I've put out all of my ingredients. The first thing I want to do is I know I need an egg room temperature and some butter room temperature. So how am I going to do that? I just take the egg and put it in a cup and fill it with hot water. And by the time you've got the rest of your ingredients prepped, 5 minutes have gone by and your egg is room temperature. The next thing is the butter. I'm just going to microwave it. I do use 10% power and I put it on for about 30 seconds. Always put it on a plate in your microwave. I have tried to soften my butter in the microwave directly on the floor of the microwave. Melted butter everywhere, not fun to clean up. So put it on a plate. So we need a little sugar syrup to brush our croissants with so that they will be nice and moist. So I need a half a cup of water, a quarter cup regular granulated sugar. All right. So we're just going to heat that long enough so that it dissolves the sugar. And then we're going to flavor it with a liqueur. So you can use rum, you could use brandy. I like a little orange with my almond flavoring, so I'm going to use Grand Marnier. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of Grand Marnier. I love that smell. Set that aside and we're ready to go. We're going to make the almond filling, also called frangipane. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of almond, and if you toast them a little, that's just fine. All right, so I've got my almonds. I need half a cup of sugar, and we're gonna grind that up until it needs until it's finely ground. To 12 pulses. That looks pretty good. Finely ground, nice. Smelling wonderful. All right, to that we're going to add our butter, which is plenty soft. Make that nice and fluffy in there. I'm gonna swirl that around. Looks good already. Let me just scrape that a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, that looks perfect. And then we're going to add, again, we're going to add a little flavoring to that. So I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of Grand Marnier. So 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon, so I'm going to use a little bit less than a tablespoon. This is not the kind of recipe where it has to be super exact. So if you have a little bit more or less of anything, that's fine. All right, so we're going to need a pinch of salt, a tablespoon of dairy, so you can use full fat milk or you can use half and half, or I happen to have heavy cream, so why not? So I want that richness in there because this is a real treat. Not a diet recipe for sure. And my egg is probably close to being room temperature. We're just gonna pulse that. Actually, we're just gonna put that on until it's light and fluffy. I can see that that needs to be scraped on the outside a little bit. Okay, that looks beautiful. All right, so I've got my croissants, and these are best if they're day old, or actually you want to leave them day old. And we're going to put this syrup right on there, and you could dip them in even. I just really like Grand Marnier when I was in Austria for a year and I worked as an au pair. They would oftentimes have coffee at about 4 o'clock. And I would make cake sometimes, and the recipe that I had was all in German, and it called for, it was a pound cake, and it called for Grand Marnier and some raisins, and it just brings me back to those times when the food in Austria and the pastries were so amazing, and that's how I got my email address. Now we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of the frangipane and put that on our croissants. These are very large. If you have tiny ones, you can scale it down. So maybe 3 tablespoons. So this is, like I said, the recipe is not exact. You have to look at the size of your croissants. These are rich. In fact, you might want to eat only half of one of these because they're huge. You can also add a little bit of jam in here. Cherry jam would be nice. That Sour Cherry by Davina is one of my favorites. You could put some chocolate chips in there. My mouth is watering. And if you want to make it even more decadent. So then I'm going to do another coating of my sugar syrup on top. I'm even going to do the bottoms a little bit because we're going to bake these for about 20 minutes or so. This is so much fun. You get all of the fun of a pastry without having to go through all of the work. All right, then we're going to put a little bit of the frangipane on top. So we're going to spread a little bit of that on top. So before I just sprinkled them on top, and that worked just fine. Yeah, so I think I'll do that again. Put them on my parchment paper. Aren't they beautiful? And there. How long did that take? Very little time. I think I'm going to do one more because I don't want to have my frangipane left over. Although you can refrigerate it for up to a week, and you can put it in the freezer for a couple weeks as well, if you want. Okay, and these are ready for the oven. Beautiful croissants. Wait till they're done. Okay, these are done. They're smelling wonderful. Looking brown and crispy, which is just the way we want them. So I'm gonna let them cool for a minute or two, and then I'm going to let them cool for a minute, and then I'm gonna put powdered sugar on them and give them a taste. Can't wait. So we're going to put them on our tray, and some powdered sugar makes them beautiful. And then this one is going to be for me. I guess I have to put powdered sugar on that. We know how that's going to be messy. All right, let's take a look. All right, so we've got the frangipane cream inside, the almonds on top, the crunchy edges. So delicious. Really crunchy, and you know, when you cook something and it gets a little brown, it gets a little bitterness to it. So that bitterness offsets the sweetness of the frangipane cream, which is just the right balance of sweetness and creaminess. And I'm not even hungry, but I think I'm going to eat the rest of this. So there it is, our easy almond croissants, and a special treat, not for every day, but this would be great for February 14th for Valentine's Day morning breakfast, or any other time that you want a special treat. Happy cooking. Thanks for watching. All right, so that's delicious.